Similarly, we also have the ESCON Toronto official WhatsApp group in which Tuesday Sangas and any other similar activities that we are doing or initiatives that are there are the ones that you can get information about. So for those who are not sitting with a black mat, feel free to grab one in case you feel it's cold. So we'll follow the same protocol that we've been following now, which is called the call and response. I sing one line, you sing one line after me. Please don't leave me hanging. Sing it. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन जमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, not bad. Very good. You can give a pat on your back. Good job. So, I have a few copies of Bhagavad Gita over here. Please feel to grab one real quick for yourself. It's okay. For those who want to read along with me. Otherwise, you can also open the texts on your phone. We go to a website called vedabase.io. That's vedabase.io. You'll see the option in the library for Bhagavad Gita, and that is what you can use. We're going to give you the page number. We're going to be on chapter 10, verse number 14 today. So we have been week on week doing the reading, and where we have reached so far is the 10th chapter, verse number 14. So for those who have the soft-bound one, the page number is 413. I have it open if somebody wants to grab this copy from me. 413. On the top, there is always the chapter number dot the verse number. That's kind of like the page number in case you want to navigate through faster. Anybody wants another copy? I have 3 more here. Feel free. It's good to hold one in your hand. Try avoiding to put it down on the floor if possible. That's just a way of respectfully dealing with the Shastra. But no, oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong verse number. Does anybody know how to recite Sanskrit very well? Anybody? So the Bhagavad Gita copy that you have it in hand is very interesting in that. So in the hardbound we have the Devanagari script also, but the Sanskrit that is written in the verse form over there is the phonetic form. Phonetic means how you sound it is how it's written. It's kind of writing the sound. So what is beautifully done over here is even if you don't know Sanskrit very well, or even a little bit, you still can recite. Because if you see, if there is an A, it's A as a sound. If you have an A with a line on top, it becomes A. In that ways, you can always pronounce differently. At the back of the Bhagavad Gita itself, there is a Sanskrit pronunciation guide at the end in this copy. So it helps us to recite also if we want to. So we are on verse 14. It says, Sarvam idam rishtam manyam yanmam vadansi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva nava. The translation is, O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Thank you. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Let me give you a little context of what is happening here. So the Bhagavad Gita, everybody knows, is the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Why did this knowledge, what triggered this conversation? Is that Arjuna wanted to fight and kill everybody. I'm seeing who's listening. Yes, it's the opposite. They're at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna is saying, I'm not going to fight. Whereas he, as a warrior, that is what he's supposed to do. He's confused between the aspect of, should I fight against my own family members? Is that what my duty is? Or as a warrior on the battlefield, am I supposed to fight and killing them because they're on the opposite side? What is right versus what is wrong? So what has happened so far is there's been, from the very basic foundation knowledge, which is the very base of all knowledges, and any principle that we are supposed to be driving to, that is the first set of answers that Krishna starts giving to Arjuna. And then he builds up on that knowledge by the time we come to the 10th chapter. Where does it start with? It starts with the verse 13 of the second chapter, where Krishna says, Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. He's telling the difference between the body and the soul. He's saying the soul is the one which transmigrates from the body, from different bodies, in the same way as in the youth time, the boyhood or girlhood, and in the old age, the body continuously is changing. If you look at our photographs from when we were kids, from now when we look ourselves in the mirror, we are very different. The body is changed completely. So he's saying in the same way at the time of death, the soul is going to change the body. What is surprising about it? One who knows this truth is not bewildered by such a change. From there on, Krishna has developed the entire concept of why do we need to understand this is your entire set of activities, your decisions needs to be based on this level of the soul and not the body. Simple terms, we know all this knowledge from the childhood. We have heard this a million times. But what does it mean? If you're looking at somebody and says, boy, girl, boy, you can do this, you cannot do this. Indian, American, Canadian, whatever, you can do this, you cannot do this. In any aspect, if we are seeing the body first, then we don't know this knowledge. We've only heard it, we have not realized it. What it also means is, if we try and associate something or rationalize something as to be done or not to be done, based on bodily or bodily relationship, then our factoring of decisions is incorrect. I'm going to take care of you because you're my brother. I don't care about you. It's again on a bodily level. This is what is called as the bodily consciousness. where our decisioning and our right and wrong decision is based on a body. What does it do? It creates a lot of confusion in our mind, as it does for Arjuna. Let's take an example. I'm a father of a kid who's hungry, literally starving, because I'm not able to provide food, I don't have money. On a bodily relationship level, I'm going to say, go rob, steal, do whatever, feed your child. But the person whom I'm robbing, is he going to see I'm doing right? But as a father, I'm saying I'm doing right. I'm doing what I need to do. So this definition of right and wrong is always what is going to be giving us what's called duality. Two sides of the coin. Always going to confuse us, because this duality will exist in our all relationships and all decisions that will exist on a bodily level. Till when we don't bring it down to the aspect of the lower aspect of the soul, our decisioning is going to be bewildered in that respect. So that is where the knowledge starts in the second chapter, and then it builds on top, explaining to Arjuna all the aspects, that now just because you have a body, so you will go up and because of your senses you will experience happiness and distress, and it is going to be like coming and going of the winters. And then there are some very beautiful verses, if you want to read, second chapter, 64, 65th verses, talk about the anger management. Beautifully explained. So with all of that basic foundation knowledge given, Krishna starts building up on top of it, and we come to the 10th chapter, where the last, what we had done was, starting from 10th chapter, 9th verse onwards, the 4 verses, which are called as the Chaturashloki Bhagavad Gita, or the 4 verses which summarizes the very crux and the essence of Bhagavad Gita itself. That is what has been told to Arjuna. Now, after this, the verse 12 and 13 comes in, which is very important. And I'm going to talk about that once again in a few minutes, in which Arjuna is concluding after having heard this knowledge. Now, we might have heard the Bhagavad Gita a lot of times. You might have heard it from different sources. You might have read it from different sources. But for any knowledge, there's supposed to be a point of reflection, a point of examination, saying, did I get it correct or not? You learned mathematics, as an example. You would solve the problem. At the end of the book, you will see, is my answer correct or not? If your answer matches the answer that is given in the book, that means you understood it correctly. Agreed? So this is where now we are flipping to the back of the book and looking if our understanding of the Bhagavad Gita is the same as Arjuna's or not. Because if it is not, then we did not understand it. These 2 verses are the essence by itself. Arjuna says, you are the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. That is the conclusion that Arjuna is bringing in after having understood his position and the position of Krishna. He says, Param Brahma, Param Nama, Pavitram, Pavaman. He's saying everything in all respects, you are Param. You are the most supreme. There is nobody equal or greater than you. And that is what I am understanding based on what you have taught me. And then he goes, he says, so in the next, he says, all the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself have declared it to me. So this conclusion of Arjuna is not just his understanding based on what Krishna is saying, but it's also been certified by the great sages, and he's saying you yourself have just mentioned that same information to me. So that is what is the essence of understanding the Bhagavad Gita. One, who are you? Who is Krishna, and what is our relationship with him, the Sambandha Jnana. So once having told and understood this as an aspect, now Arjuna is talking about a little more about this knowledge, that this conclusion that he is coming. And these next 2 verses are also very important for us to understand. I'll read the translation again of the 14th verse that we just read. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. You see, I totally accepting the truth that you have given me. A truth that nobody, the demigods or the demons, can understand. So what's the secret here? somebody was, we were just having a discussion and debate once, and a very senior devotee, this question was asked to him, asked by him, sorry. What language was the Bhagavad Gita spoken in? Sanskrit. Is it true? Yes. The original conversation, you can say, is the language Sanskrit, but it's not limited to the language. Right? What it means is, if I say that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken in Sanskrit, then if I know Sanskrit, then I understand Bhagavad Gita. If I'm a Sanskrit scholar, I understand Bhagavad Gita. But that's not the criteria given here. He's saying even the demigods and the demons, anybody, none of them, they understand who you are basically not being able to understand the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. So what is the secret? If anybody knows, there's a chapter in the Bhagavad Gita which is titled as the confidential knowledge, the Param Guhyam Jnana. Despite the fact that in this printed version, you are holding the Bhagavad Gita in your hand, it is in a language that you can read yourself, then how is it still the Param Guhyam, the most confidential knowledge? The secret is the process of understanding and approaching it. What Krishna is saying, and Arjuna is concluding over here, is that just by the fact that I have the Bhagavad Gita in my hand, or I've heard it in Sanskrit or any other language from anybody, does not qualify me to understand it. Because the science itself of understanding the Bhagavad Gita has been given in the Bhagavad Gita itself. It says, Evam paramparar prapter. You cannot understand and approach Bhagavad Gita directly. The process of understanding it is to approach the authorized person who can explain. Not just, in an analogy term, let's take it this way, right? Everybody of us has gone to school to study. Maybe some graduation college, did some graduation in some place, right? And you read books over there. You did a particular curriculum, right? You could have bought the books without going to school and college. You could have read it at home. If I pick up all the books for engineering, bring it home, read it out, will I be called an engineer or be accepted as an engineer? Why not? I might be knowing more than an engineer who's qualified and graduated from the college, but why am I not being accepted as an engineer? What's the missing part? Exams, certified. Basically a process through which you are certifying, yes, you have understood it correctly. And a person who is authorized is certifying, you have understood it, and I'm certifying you to have understood it. Can I go to any building and from there do this and ask anybody to just print a paper for me which says graduated, and will that be accepted? No. Again, it has to be from a person who is certified enough to authorize you to, or certify you in that aspect. Do we all agree to that? So when it comes to the simple material knowledge, or knowledge about engineering, or medical sciences, or for that matter any other field, if our knowledge cannot be certified for usage or is accepted as being knowledge that or degree that you might have without going through a particular process of getting certified from a certified person, then how can we say that same thing can be applied for a spiritual knowledge? So what is a certified place for spiritual knowledge? For other information, we know, okay, which college are you certified from? Like the college, we say, where are you certified from? Which university are you affiliated from? Where are you, etc., etc. We ask these questions. We even ask your faculty members, what degree do they have? Are they qualified or not? How are you saying they're qualified or not? What is their track record? And so on. We put in so much research for a knowledge that is going to help us get our bread and butter. What about the knowledge that goes beyond the restrictions of the body and goes in across lifespans? Are we not supposed to be doing that kind of scrutiny for that? That is what Arjuna is explaining. I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. He's accepting it that Krishna, you're an authorized person to give this knowledge out. And I'm accepting the knowledge from an authorized person. I'm accepting it as is. So when we are here right now, what is the way for us to get this authorized knowledge? When Krishna personally in a form is not available with us where we can interact with him and hear from him directly. What is that he says? That's where the verse comes in. Evam parampara praptir. Krishna teaches somebody who teaches somebody who teaches somebody who teaches somebody who teaches somebody. That's a parampara system. And at each point, is there a verification step that I have verified that you have understood the conclusion of the Vedic scriptures, you are living the conclusion of that Vedic scriptures, and you are able to convince others of this Vedic scriptures. Now I certify that you can be a teacher. That is the process. So when we are sitting down over here, what is that certification by which at ISKCON we are saying that the knowledge is authorized? Why is this book being called the Bhagavad Gita as it is? For those who are holding the book, if you go to the end of the introduction, that's our certification. The last I have the hardbound which has a different page number, but it should be around of the orders of 30s something. The last page of the introduction, which very clearly shows a parampara system. From Krishna, the knowledge has been dissipated to multiple people. The four primary paramparas are understood as being understood as the Vaishnava paramparas. One of them includes the knowledge being given to Brahma, which is called the Brahma Vaishnava parampara. Similarly, there are other paramparas in these similar ways, not just one. In that, Brahma gives knowledge to Narada, who gives knowledge to Vyasadeva, Madhava, and so on and so forth. In that same order, what at the end of the introduction, that entire parampara is given. 32nd is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He's not somebody who just came in from somewhere random and said, I am going to explain. No, he's been following a parampara system. It is through this parampara that this knowledge has been going down very carefully from one level to another. 33rd is his disciples, like my Guru Maharaj, His Grace Sankarshan Rahi. 34th would be us as the grand disciples of Srila Prabhupada. The parampara in the similar ways will continue, and only after proper certification, then you kind of are at a point to be able to have disciples. So when we are saying, in this moment of time, I might write down again in the same way multiple set of names and say this is my parampara. I accept it. What are the other ways in which we can do validation? For all of that, the scripture kind of gives us the definition to it. In our trying to follow the spiritual path, our guiding principles are 3 in number. If all 3 of them coincide well, that means things are perfect. That is Guru, Shastra and Sadhu. Guru is the Guru, the teacher himself. Sadhu are other devotees who have been following, practicing. And the Shastra are the scriptures that we have, the books. All 3 have to match and coincide perfectly. Only then can we say that yes, it's certified that yes, the knowledge is correct. If any of them is deviating, there is something wrong. So that's one way. Is the scriptures talking about accepting a guru? Yes, it does. Is scriptures talking about approaching a guru and serving them and inquiring from them? Yes. There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Pariprashna sevaya. It says go and ask questions and serve the guru. In this way, there are methods in which we have been able to say that certified guru or not. But on top of it, as I said, there are very clear-cut criteria given by which you can say if the guru certified or not. There are symptoms which can be said and accepted, right? So, for example, when we talk of a book like Nectar of Instruction, Updeshamrita Sindhu, it very clearly talks about the qualities of anybody who's qualified to have disciples, right? Which includes things such as one who has in this straight line all the important points in control: mind, tongue, belly, genitals, in that way. One who has a jiva vega, manasa krodha vega. In all of these, if this urge for all of these things, the one who is able to control that. That's one definition from the Shastra of Nectar of Instruction.
Srimad Bhagavatam in the similar ways gives definition, saying one who has correctly understood the conclusion of the Vedic knowledge, like Arjuna is giving over here, one who has completely understood it, lives that knowledge, and is able to convince other is also a qualified guru. And there are such symptoms. When we read the scriptures ourselves into detail, we will be able to understand and come to a point of being able to ask the question. Is that guru a certified guru? When it starts asking, okay, let's talk from the Bhagavad Gita perspective, okay? Again, I'm giving an example of a conversation with somebody who is a very good friend of mine, following some other guru, right? And then we started having conversation. Okay, let's understand. And he said, my guru has written this very nice Bhagavad Gita. It's called, okay, I'll not say the name, controversial. So there's a Bhagavad Gita that has been written, and he says, let's see. Your guru, my guru, let's compare notes. Is it fair? We have something called as Shastra Artha, as two people coming in and doing a debate on the meaning of the scriptures. Let's do that. I said, look at this Bhagavad Gita and tell me if it is complete, it's nice or good or not. I said, okay. Let me see based on what very limited knowledge I have and what I'm being taught. I look at the chapter titles. Chapter number 2, Becoming a God. That is where I give it up. The Bhagavad Gita never talks about you becoming a God. But okay, how do we come to that point of where it does not say? Because in the verse that we picked up, I said, okay, let's see, let's compare notes. Let's pick up the verse of chapter 12th and 13th of chapter 10, and where Arjuna is clearly saying, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Param Bhavan. He's saying, you are the one who is the supreme, I'm not. He's concluding it in that ways. Let's see what is written in your Bhagavad Gita, because if you're going verse by verse, guess what's written there? Anybody wants to make a guess? That verse is missing. Is that a Bhagavad Gita then? Another gentleman, we were having a conversation. I'm just sharing this information is because I have gone through that journey myself of trying to explore. Another gentleman comes and he says, I have the Bhagavad Gita, I have read it all very nicely. Fantastic. I read it all every day. Every day? Okay. How many verses are there in the Bhagavad Gita? Does anybody know? Make a guess, wild guess. 100? Okay. Anybody else? How many? 700. Thank you so much. Correct answer. 700 verses. I said, when we are doing Bhagavad Gita recitation during Gita Jayanti and all those different events, we take 3 hours to recite just the verses. So you're spending 3 hours daily reading? No. Oh, you're very fast in reading then maybe. So no, I have a Bhagavad Gita which is 15 pages. That's interesting. He says, yeah, chapter 1, 2 pages, chapter 2, 3 pages, like that. It's a summarized version of the Bhagavad Gita. I said, then the question comes in is, and again, we are intelligent people. We're supposed to ask these questions. The path to spiritual perfection comes through asking questions and using our intelligence to debate. That is what the scripture says we are supposed to be doing. So he said, there are 700 verses that Krishna spoke. So whosoever is giving you this knowledge in the form of the Bhagavad Gita that they have written, they are saying the verses are not important and these 2 pages that I am giving you is sufficient enough to understand the amazing knowledge that Krishna said. He does not know how to do his job, but I will do it better than him. So that's a question that I asked him. He's like, Like, fortunately he was able to think through it and he's like, okay, let me go verse by verse. So that's the thing, right? When we are approaching and getting the knowledge through an authorized source, they're not going to create something on their own. The verses are going to be kept first. And what Srila Prabhupada says, and if you look at the preface of the book itself, he very clearly says, I want to present this information in a scholarly manner. Not this fanatic manner, but in a scholarly manner. Read every Sanskrit word and like a lawyer scrutinizingly read it, ask questions, make sure you are convinced. That is the process of getting the knowledge. Not on the perspective. So, because again, I'm from the North Indian origin. That's where I was born and brought up. Um, Always when we look at the calendars, for those who understand Hindi, they'll be, karma karo phal ki chinta mat karo. That's the very common quote that would come in about summarizing the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Just do your thing, don't worry about the results. I have the Bhagavad Gita in front of me, 700 verses. There's not one verse that talks about that. Not one verse that talks about that. All it says is do your duty because that's your responsibility. You're supposed to do your duty. You're supposed to be offering your results to Krishna. That is very different. When we say do your duty, do your work and don't worry about the result, which means I'm going to drive crazy, and even if I kill a few people on the road, that's okay. That's the result. I don't care about the result. That is how things are misinterpreted a lot of time. So, if we approach a bona fide source for the knowledge, then our conclusion and understanding of it will be correct. But as part of our journey from starting to get the spiritual knowledge to becoming to a certain point of at least being able to get the essence of it, there are a lot of questions that we are supposed to be asking. We're not just supposed to be sitting down. We're supposed to be using our intelligence. We're supposed to be inquiring. We're supposed to be humbly, submissively challenging also if required. I don't understand how you're saying this. How is it? Do you know, even Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita during the conversation does that. Anybody knows that verse or the context in which Arjuna challenges Krishna? Anybody who's read any verse? There is a point where when Krishna is explaining this process of getting the knowledge from the parampara system, and he says there was a parampara in which I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, who's Suryadev. And in that way, that knowledge was coming down, and that succession was broken, and hence, you being my friend and dear devotee, I'm starting this again with you once again. So this is one of the paramparas that got broken, but at that time, Arjuna says, how is it even possible? You are much younger than Suryadev Vivaswan himself. How is it possible that you gave him the knowledge? That's when Arjuna says this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is not just spoken once, it's been spoken multiple times. So these are things which come up to our mind as a challenge. We're supposed to ask questions, and there's very logical and rational ways to understand it. But we are supposed to ask questions if we are in doubt. Okay? So, let's read the verse again. It says, "O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. So through an authorized source, I'm accepting the knowledge and the truth that you're giving me. Neither demigods nor demons can understand you. Nobody else is able to understand you because they're not following the process. And it is only by your mercy coming in through a different channel that we are able to understand that." I'm going to ask a very simple question. Who are demons? By definition? Anybody? By your understanding, that's fine. Asuras, demon. Who are demons? Villains? I like that definition. I'm hearing it for the first time. Anybody else? Any other way to explain who are demons? The weak ones. Okay, that's interesting. Weak from a reasoning perspective, yes, maybe not physically, but good point, yes. Evil people. Anybody who does not understand the demoniac quality, and there is a very nice good quality that are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita itself also. A demon is one who has demoniac qualities. What are those demoniac qualities? Is to not accept the supreme as being the authority. Anybody who denies that as being the authority, I'm not going to follow you, or you do not exist, I'm going to do my own thing, that mentality is what is called demoniac in the scriptures. So anybody who denies will be categorized as a demon in that perspective. Does not necessarily mean the one with sharp teeth, big teeth, funny looking, killing people around. Not necessarily that. These are just quality wise that it's being said. On the other hand, who is a demigod? Devi Devta, as we call it in Hindi. So anybody who can be categorized as Devi Devta if they are fully surrendered and working for the Lord himself. let's take an example. Suryadev. Suryadev is, again, demigod is a translation of Devi Devta in English, not the very best, but Srila Prabhupada used English language to the very best he could have tried to communicate the message, right? So these Devi Devtas, the demigod like Suryadev, he's the in charge of sun and sun planet as such. He's the king of the sun planet. And all aspects of the sun, he's the one who controls it. But that's all his control is limited to. But is Suryadev a person or is it a designation? Any guesses? I gave a hint a few minutes ago. It's a designation. There are different ways in which you yourself can also become purified to a certain extent and come to the position of being a Suryadev. At this moment of time, the person who is the Suryadev is called Vivaswan. His name is Vivaswan. In the same way, Indra is also a designation. The king of all these Devi Devtas is Indra, and that's also a designation. All of these are Jiva Tattvas. Jiva Tattva means they are living entities like us. They've been given that position because they have performed well. They got promoted to that position. But once they have extinguished their good karmas and the good actions because of which they went there, they will come back here again. So those good pious people who have reached to that destination of being in the Swarga Lokas or the heavenly planets, because of their good actions in the past, are also not able to understand Krishna. What does that mean? It means that just by doing, I'm going to be good, I'm not going to do any bad to others, that's not the method by which we can understand the Supreme. The way to understand the Supreme is to follow his instructions. First, to get the instructions from an authorized source, understand it and follow it. That is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Right? That is our method. So the next verse it says, indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency as a Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of God, Lord of the universe. That's where that position is again being certified as to what do you mean by what is not understood by others, as he being the Lord of everybody. He says, Dev Deva Jagat Pate. I said the word Devi Devta. The Jagat Pate is not just the being the owner, proprietor, manifester, maintainer of what we see around here, but even the ones who are controlling this. There are very clear-cut verses which talk about that, right? So those conclusion is where we need to, from our scriptures, understand. What is the purpose of the human form of life? What is that we are supposed to be coming as a conclusion? So if we don't come to this same conclusion, anything that we have been doing, and again, I wasted a lot of time and I'm still wasting a lot of my time on this, is till when we don't come to this conclusion and act as per this conclusion, whatever we are doing on the name of saying, I am religious, I'm doing spirituality, or whatever practice we are doing, if we are not coming to this conclusion, then all of that is an action which led to nothing. You might get a little fame for a while because, you're such a generous, philanthropic person, but that fame, etc., is going to last only for some time. Because every time you put into your bucket good karmas, you will get the result for it, but those karmas, the result of that gets extinguished. What then? We ask these questions. If all these karma concepts exist, there's one colleague of mine who was challenging me in that way. And it is a good thing to challenge sometimes, as I said. If all of these concepts of karmas exist, that if you're doing bad, bad is going to happen to you. How do I see all of these criminal-minded people, drug dealers, traffickers, and so all people being successful? Where is the karmic reaction there? I said, what they are seeing right now is the reaction of the good karmas they have done previously, because of which they have been in an influential position. They are misusing that influential position right now, and they will get the result of that afterwards. When do we perform action versus when do we get the result of that? We cannot equate that. Srimad Bhagavatam talks about that in a lot of detail. So these are in different ways in which we can get into a doubtful mode, and following the authorized method, we can always get to a point of getting those doubts clarified. We have close to 15 minutes, right? Now, as I said, we would want to do discussions and interactions. If you have anything as a question, we can do that discussion based on what we just talked about, or in general, anywhere you can relate it to the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita and related aspects of what things work. Also, as I said, feel free to challenge or disagree. We can have a discussion. That's what this forum is meant for. So if you have a question, please let me know. We can have a discussion on that. Or if you've heard something otherwise, something that I said that you're not agreeing with, or you've heard a very different version of it, let's have a discussion. Anybody has anything that they would like to bring up? Any questions? Any challenges? Nothing? Okay. So here's what we can do then. For the verse 14, it's a smaller one, that's why I'm picking that one. I'm going to read what is this purport. Purport is basically a quick knowledge bite given by Srila Prabhupada on that verse. As I said, the verse that Krishna has said is potent enough, nobody needs to explain it. But in the context of the conversation itself and being able to absorb it completely, Srila Prabhupada has given us what is called the purport. From verse to verse, you will see the purport. What it includes is either in the today's world context, what is that we might hear as challenge to the concept itself. He's kind of explained that. There are so many misconceptions that exist. He's explained that using the Vedic scripture itself. Or he's given references to, okay, what you're reading over here in this verse, there are similar verses in, say, other scriptures also, so that you get a holistic view understanding of it. Or sometimes, even within the Bhagavad Gita, he does cross-referencing in order to be able to understand the conversation. You always have to understand that the Bhagavad Gita is a conversation. We cannot just pick one thing out of context. It is a conversation, and we have to understand in that way. The purports that Srila Prabhupada has wonderfully given in this Bhagavad Gita, which is full and complete and as it is what we are able to get in order to be able to fully understand it. And then obviously, he's very mercifully given us these forums where we can discuss and make sure we understand it completely. So I'm going to read one of the purports so that we can understand the great wisdom that he's shared with us. And if you like it, which I hope you do, then one of these copies you can always take it at home with you and continue the reading process and come every Tuesday for discussion. Okay? So, verse 14, I'm reading the purport. Arjuna hereby confirms that persons of faithless and demoniac nature cannot understand Krishna. He is not known even by the demigods, so what to speak of the so-called scholars of this modern world. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, Arjuna has understood that Supreme Truth is Krishna and he is the perfect one. One should therefore follow the path of Arjuna. He received the authority of Bhagavad Gita. As described in the 4th chapter, the Parampara system of disciplined succession for understanding of Bhagavad Gita was lost, and therefore Krishna re-established the disciplic succession with Arjuna because he considered Arjuna his intimate friend and a great devotee. Therefore, as stated in our introduction to the Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita should be understood in the Parampara system. When the Parampara system was lost, Arjuna was selected to rejuvenate it. The acceptance by Arjuna of all that Krishna says should be emulated. Then we can understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita, and then only can we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay? Such a beautiful way of summarizing and saying what we just discussed is, till when we don't follow the process that Arjuna did, like him asking questions, inquiring, challenging where needed. Even there's a place in the Bhagavad Gita where he's scolded also. He's saying, you're trying to act like you're too smart, but you're not. Krishna says that. So even that aspect, Hare Krishna. Yes. So even that aspect, we are supposed to be accepting it. You're supposed to be ready to accept corrections. If we are not ready to accept corrections, we keep thinking ourselves to be, oh, I'm the best, or similar ways, then we'll never get the knowledge. We'll never be coming to a point of being able to understand the knowledge. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purport. That we need to follow the same method that Arjuna did. Even if we go to the, I think that's the 4th chapter, there's a very beautiful verse where Arjuna says that, you know, I'm right now bewildered. I don't know what is right and what is wrong. And because of that reason, I'm not able to understand what I'm supposed to do and not. And therefore, I surrender onto you. And in that ways, please help me understand the truth. So that is the method that Arjuna has come up over here and said that this is the way in which I'm now accepting you as a guru. So that acceptance of a guru or of a teacher is an essential part of for us to get that knowledge, right? So till when we kind of think, I'm fine, I'm on my own, I'm good. That is also a point where we think that we will be able to achieve the spiritual knowledge on our own, but that's not possible. When Krishna says that, you know, Pariprashna Seva, you're supposed to ask questions, and you're supposed to be in this similar way, go and inquire and serve your guru. That also in turn has the instruction that your guru needs to be in person. What that means is, I cannot say, Srila Prabhupada, you are my guru. Because I cannot go and ask questions to Srila Prabhupada, can I? Even if he is knowledge, even if he is authorized, I cannot go and ask questions. I cannot go and serve him. While doing this service, make mistakes and be corrected. That's not possible. So who is a guru? Who is supposed to be there, whom you can actually interact with. Now the mercy of these modern technologies, you can interact using video calls, emails, and so on and so forth. All that is fine. But it should be somebody with whom you are able to do an interaction and ask questions. Such a guru are in the scriptures, as it's mentioned, there are 2 types. One is called a Diksha Guru, one who is initiating you, who is giving you Diksha. And the other is called a Siksha Guru, who is teaching you. So my Diksha Guru is the one who's given me Diksha. So as part of this parampara that we are saying, I've been initiated or given Diksha by his great Sankarshan Das. So he is you will have only one initiating guru who attaches you to a particular parampara, and through that parampara system you approach Krishna. But you can have multiple Siksha Gurus who are teaching you. All the people who come to the temple over here, they in one sense or the other, they are Siksha Gurus, because if I'm doing a mistake, they can point out saying, no, wrong. Right? Or they're teaching me things to do it the right way. So all of them are Siksha Gurus in that. So you can have multiple such Siksha Gurus. Okay? So I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to ask once again if there is any questions or doubts coming in the mind. Do not hesitate, because this is a forum where nobody judges. Most of you don't even know each other. Right? So you don't have to worry in that perspective. Any questions, any doubts that might come in, that stops us from fully believing. That doubt needs to be clear. Right? You have something? Yes. Ascending process and the descending process. Yes. Yes. It is. It is. So very clearly, so okay, for everybody's context, what he's referring very nicely is a conversation that we did a while ago, is getting the spiritual knowledge. There are 2 methods to it. One is the ascending process, aroha, or the descending process, the avroha process. Ascending process is where I, on my own merits, will try to gather knowledge and elevate myself to the point of spiritual knowledge and spiritual realization. A descending process, on the other hand, is I sit down and I say, please teach me. So when we are talking of this parampara system, very rightly pointed out, all that we are talking about, this parampara system is the descending process by which we are surrendering, please take care of me. On the other hand, on an ascending process, you are on your own trying to elevate yourself. So the very nice question over here is, in the Bhagavad Gita, is it only the descending process or the ascending process is also been mentioned? It is. If you look at the multiple chapters, let me go to the starting of it. There are multiple chapters which talk of different yoga systems. And each of that kind of briefly talks about that. And then as a question, Arjuna says, I'm confused. You're telling me so many different ways. For example, there is Karma Yoga, which is chapter 3. And then there is Dhyana Yoga. And then there is, all these different type of yoga systems that are there. There's also a part of mention called the Ashtanga Yoga process. Yoga means connection with the Supreme. And as to your point, the process of Jnana Yoga is to be able to gather knowledge enough to be able to differentiate the right versus wrong, and through that process elevate and understand the Supreme Truth. That is an ascending process. That's also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. In the similar way, the process of Dhyana Yoga is to sit down, meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord within the heart, which is the Chaturbhuji form of the Lord himself. In that way, meditate on him and understand. There's a term which the Bhagavad Gita also talks about as Muni. A Muni is one who is analytically understanding everything, and through that analytically processes it, yes, no, maybe this is the way, this is it. And through that analytical process, with a very unique thought process every Muni would have, they will be able to come to the same conclusion. These are all ascending processes. But after all of these different methods have been mentioned, Arjuna asked this question, says, you have told me so many different methods, but please decisively tell me which is what you want me to follow. That is when Krishna says that the process of bhakti yoga, the process of devotion, following the ascending process of surrendering to a guru and through that process elevating yourself, is what I recommend. So the Bhagavad Gita talks of all of the processes, but it also concludes in the Bhagavad Gita which is the one which is best for us. And there are other scriptures also in the same way which kind of comes to the same conclusion. You have something? Yeah. Yeah. You will make mistakes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Are you a student of science? Yes. You've done any experiment during school quiz or something? Right? So there is a process, a method to do the experiment, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then you come to the result. Right? If you don't get the correct result, was your methods of executing the experiment correct? You would have done something wrong. Otherwise, the result would have been perfect. Right? So, thinking scientifically now, if your result of your work is not coming perfect, which means that you made some mistake even if you did not realize. Okay? Now that is where the higher knowledge comes in. It is important. I'm going to talk about a very simple question. And from there you will be able to understand what that means. Do you do the process of eating? Are you doing any mistake in eating? Is there any paap, aparad, any offense, any sins involved in your process of eating? No. You wash your hands nicely. You're eating vegetarian food. You're not kidding anybody. You're being very nice. But if I give you a breaking news right now, there is a fault, as per the Bhagavad Gita, that we have all been doing. Do you know the answer? What's the answer? Not offering to the Lord. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita very clearly that whatever you're eating, you're supposed to be offering it to me first and then having the prasad. If you are not doing that, you're a thief. And a thief will never be peaceful. Because you took something that was given to you and you kept it for yourself. Right? You were given it to offer it to him and then take the remittance. In that way, it is our lack of knowledge because of which we end up doing imperfect actions, and so our results are imperfect. if through the process of reading the Bhagavad Gita, we come to this perfect conclusion as simple as that whatever you're eating, you're offering it to the Lord first, and having only prasadam, that action has become perfect. You're doing the same thing. Arjuna did not do is not fight. He did fight. He still did what he was supposed to do as a Kshatriya. But he just changed it and did it because Krishna said, and because I'm going to do it exactly the way that Krishna said. In the same way, eating processes. So when you're saying that, as a human, I'm doing things and my actions are perfect, we are saying that with the limited knowledge that we have, that my actions are perfect. But we would be making mistakes in that. And so, we see the results in that particular ways. Does that help? Thanks. Any other question? Yes, please. Right. Yes. Correct. So let's take this as an example. Krishna says very nicely is that you perform your actions. That's your responsibility. Do what you're supposed to do. Do what you have been allocated as a duty to do. So for example, in a male body or a female body, there are certain things that we have said you're supposed to do. But that's not what he fully means. Because that's again on a bodily level, right? What he means is, as a spiritual soul, what's your duty? Perform that duty. And whatever, while doing that performing of the action, whatever is coming out as a result, that you offer to me. For example, the action of cooking. You have to eat. You have to feed this body. There is no way you cannot feed. Right? So that action of cooking that you're doing to feed yourself, don't do it to feed your body. Do it as an offering to the Lord. Same action, just a different result. Now you have offered it to the Lord, and what you're eating now is His blessings, His remittances that He's providing to us. That is what Krishna says. Do your work, offer the results onto me. That's the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. And this teaching, by approaching a bona fide guru, can be taught to us to be able to do that always in all places and circumstances. So that is the science that we as a human are supposed to be learning. So let me ask you a question. Sorry, you want to say something? Okay. So let me ask you a quick question. What is your duty? Yes. Fantastic. But that's all on the bodily level. Once your body is gone, your duty changes. But then that's not your duty. That's the duty of the body. Anybody else has an answer, or what's your duty? Perfect. So now if we are talking of the purpose for you, we have to first understand who you are. If we are identifying ourselves as the body, which you were saying in the very beginning, if I'm identifying myself as a male, female, the duty associated with that is associated only with the body. The body is gone, that duty is gone. But that's not your duty because you are still there. So what is our duty? Our duty is Jive Reswarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das, that we are eternal servants of the Lord. What does it mean to be an eternal servant of the Lord? It means no matter what, we are their servant. Even if we don't know, even if we don't accept, we are still serving the Lord. Either we are serving the Lord directly or we are serving His energy. In the terms of Maya, who is making us go dancing here and there. We keep running one after the other. Yes. Yes. We did. Yes. Wonderful question. What do you think surrender to Lord means? When I said completely surrender to the Lord, what does that mean? Give up everything? Stay in the temple? Is that what you think? Give up everything, stay in the temple? Perfect. So that is where Krishna says very beautiful words. He says, what results you're going to get out of a small, what you get out of a small a stream of water or a small reservoir of water, the bigger pond, the bigger reservoir of water contains all of that already. $100 bill has the $1 coins in it anyways. The loonies and the toonies are all in there. So basically what it means is that's the science that we as humans are supposed to be inquiring about and learning how to do it. Right? How do I completely do everything for Krishna while doing what I'm supposed to do for the body also? Let's take this as an example. We all eat. When I'm offering something to the Lord, I'm doing it for Him, but I'm still feeding my body. Right? Now, it does not limit over there. It goes way beyond. When we say completely surrender, when we are supposed to be offering something cooked to the Lord, does it happen by itself or we do the process of cooking? Is that process of cooking for the Lord now all the effort done for cooking, is that now a service to the Lord? You change the goal. I'm offering it to the Lord. I get fed as a byproduct. That's the change of orientation. Now, every action that you did as part of the cooking, washing utensils, everything is a service to the Lord. Not just that. You going to the grocery store and buying the groceries to be able to cook and offer to the Lord is also a service to the Lord. Not just that. Groceries don't come for free. The work that you did in order to be able to get a salary to buy groceries is also a service to the Lord. That's how you fully surrender. It's not limited to just that. The service of the Lord is so glorious. Every part of the studies that you did in order to be able to get that job, to get the salary, to buy the groceries, to be able to cook for Krishna is also a service to the Lord now. That's how a bona fide guru is able to teach us how to completely surrender our life to the Lord. Not just the life coming, but the one that is also past. That's how we are able to do. That's how complete surrender comes in. Does that help? Everything that you're doing at home. Now, you have a house. You have a household. If all of that household is meant in order to try and elevate yourself and your entire family spiritually and teach each and every person of the family to collectively how to serve the Lord, your entire household, all your monthly installments for your mortgage, all your utility bills is all service to the Lord. So the question now we have to ask ourselves is, what percentage of this are we surrendered to the Lord right now? Is it just a few dry fruits, nuts here and there? Is it just water? Is it just a few flowers? Or is it more and more? That's what extent is we are surrendered to the Lord. That's quantification now. You had something? Sorry, you were saying something before. Yes. To 11? Okay. I think I'll... I'm there. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, while speaking learned... we were just talking about that. While speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worth of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. This is where I said we have to be ready for getting scolded. This is where Krishna is saying, you are trying to act smart, but you are not. Right? Okay. So, the verse basically it's saying is, while speaking of learned words, basically what Arjuna has been doing so far is he's been giving all of these different arguments. I've heard it from my elders that you're supposed to be respectful for your elders, and that is how, we're supposed to act. I've heard it from the elders, if I kill the elders of the family tradition is going to go away, and that is going to bring disaster to the family. I've heard it, etc., etc. He's giving all of these different reasons. If you break it down, there are 4 reasons given in the first chapter, 5th reason comes in the start of the 2nd chapter. There are 5 reasons that Arjuna gives of why we should not fight. Things like there's going to be sinful reactions that is going to come in. There's going to be how will I even enjoy if my family is dead, and how will I even enjoy the kingdom that I'm going to win out of this war? Things like that. So this is what Krishna is saying as being the so-called learned words. And that's what we do. Arjuna is acting exactly how we do. We give a lot of reasoning and rationalities, right? We're trying to justify our own actions by saying, I am supposed to do this. As a son, as a daughter, as a blah, 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 whatever we keep adding titles to ourselves, and based on that defining this is what we are supposed to do. That is all the learned words over here. And then you're mourning for something that you're not supposed to mourn for. What does that mean? You're mourning for the body. What's the point of mourning for the body which is anyways going to die? You kill or not kill, it is going to die no matter what. That is what he explains in the next set of verses. He said, you're mourning for something which is not worth mourning for. The wise person is the one who understands this. And that is where, 2:13 verse comes in. He's explaining that, he's saying the wise person is also who understands that the soul is the eternal, permanent one and the body keeps changing. So that is what he's trying to explain. Think on the level of spirit, soul, and not on the level of body. Does that help, Prabhu? We can continue discussion more if you want to. All right, last 10 seconds. Any final wording call? Thank you so much. Really appreciate all of you giving me attention and your time. This session happens by different speakers every Tuesday. Please feel free to come in as and when your schedule allows you. But please try and make in as much effort as you're able to do some sort of reading. And for that, the start can be by taking a copy of Bhagavad Gita today with you. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Sure. Yeah. You did something wrong. Yes. It did start. That's a very fair question to us. So I'm seeing the results of my actions that I did sometime in the past, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. How far back do we go? It is at the point when we fell down from the spiritual world into this material world. When did that happen? When we were in the spiritual world and we got envious of Krishna. That is what the scriptures explain. That's what Srila Prabhupada explains. That we were in this spiritual world where there is no concept of time. There is no suffering. It's Vaikunta without suffering at all. And at some point we're like, everybody is giving everything to Krishna. Nobody is taking care of me. He is the one who's enjoying everything. Why everything for him only? I also want something. That's the moment when we fall down. And we fall down into a material world where we think ourselves to be the controller, the center of the world. The word is Ishvara. There's Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. The Parama Ishvara, the supreme controller is Krishna. We are tiny controllers. We can control only a little bit what page number I'm going to be on. Am I going to be awake while I'm listening something, or I'm going to doze off? The little controlling that we can do, but we are very tiny in that perspective. Right? So Krishna very mercifully said, you want things for yourself? You want that everything needs to be there? You want to control things like I do? Okay, I'm going to send you to the material world where you think you are the controller, but you're actually not. You're still under the control of the three modes of material nature. So that's how it starts. And then again, there are a lot of details that Srila Prabhupada gives in purpose of that, exactly how that process works. What is interesting to understand is once we come to our senses of realizing our mistake and start acting correctly, and when we go back to the spiritual world, because spiritual world does not have a concept of time, we never fell down. So that's an interesting thing to know. Does that help? Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody. Once again, Tuesday Sangas, WhatsApp group for the ISKCON Toronto. Outside, if you want announcements, Tuesday Sanga is another WhatsApp group that you can join to know about this book. If you need a copy of this Bhagavad Gita, at the reception you can pay for it, take the copy, or else you can put it back here. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.